Oh,
she answered. Here's the baby.
Well, we expect to see her in 10 minutes. Tell her to wash her hands and get on down. Right. Get on down here.
This is, I don't know, when you think about the greatest days of the year, what do you got? Christmas, Thanksgiving,
Birthday.
and the day that Woody's wife, Cynthia, comes into the studio with us.
It's not her greatest day.
They have been so giddy waiting for you to show up.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure actually on us because I feel like for the last 48 hours, I've been just racking my head trying to think of the most embarrassing things about Woody and the questions. Because we have so many questions every day, like, how does she do this? How does she do that? Why does she put up with XYZ? What is Woody not telling us that we don't quite understand when we hear a partial story? And then I forget almost 99% of it. So I don't have...
Thank you for that.
Well, there's so many, I guess, is part of the problem that I forget what to ask about. I know Chelsea was very fixated. And I know, first of all, you've got a great event. Cynthia runs a charity. And if you've never been with us when we chat about it, it's fascinating and there's a cool event. But remember, Woody won a trip to Vegas for 4 flight, everything, all encompassing.
Yep.
And for now, 2 or 3 months, Woody has made a huge deal out of the fact that when he asked you to go, you immediately said, not really interested. And Chelsea has been beside herself for 3 months. I don't know how long ago it was that you won that trip, that it was so funny that you turned him down. Do you want to share anything other than just the obvious about why you wouldn't want to go to Vegas?
Wait. What's the obvious?
He has a lot of time with you, Woody.
This could have been a trip. This would have been our first honeymoon.
Right. Yeah, you guys never really had a honeymoon.
And take note that the only time he asked me to do anything is when it's given to him for free from someone else.
Of course it is.
Otherwise, I don't get asked out. I don't get trips, all the things.
Understood. I
get it. I actually do also work for a living.
Right.
And so, I don't really make a great living doing it, but I do work. And this is a very busy time of year, so it was going to be very difficult. Plus, we have a new puppy at home. Plus, we have 2 kids, and the things that he doesn't ever have to consider, like the logistics.
When I wait. When I won the trip, we did not have a puppy. We still had kids.
So she had to get the puppy to make it seem more plausible.
No. Exactly.
I worked over the weekend as well, and you should see our house right now. It would make sense. But I've been working a lot.
She's been working a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you have been, although I prefer the other answers.
We all do.
Yeah, we all
I totally
do.
want to go on a trip, but I totally want to get away. I
Just
will
with
say
somebody
Vegas
else,
was
right?
not my first my first choice,
Yeah.
especially just for a quick weekend.
Well, Woody, you're going to have to win another trip.
Yeah. Or maybe just...
Or I have to plan it.
Plan one yourself, Woody.
I do.
This is called your man vacation, your mancation. I mean, like with your wife.
She's invited.
I don't think that's
No,
even
actually,
true.
she's not.
You're
Unless it
doing it
happens to
wrong.
be in our town.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
So let's tell people what it is that you are doing with this charitable organization that you've created.
Okay, so Mind Body Baby is actually on its 6th year now, and we are basically trying to bridge the gaps in maternity care, both pregnancy, conception, pregnancy, all the way through the postpartum period, a good 2 years after delivery. Birthing people, mothers, parents tend to disappear after baby's born. But mood disorders, mental health disorders brought on by pregnancy, birth trauma, those are the most common complication of having a baby. But it's actually not support is not a standard part of care, traditional care. And it affects everybody very differently. We all have our different stories. And so what became clear through our own experience is that that big gap in support can have long-term impacts, both on the birthing person, the partner, and definitely the baby. And so we need to kind of look at that need for village is vital, and not everybody has it anymore. And here in Charlotte, we have so many people that are relatively new to the community. They don't have good friends here. They don't have family here. And it's when you come home with that baby, it's very easy to realize how devastating that can be, and that isolation can actually truly hurt. And so we do a lot of work to be that social emotional support for people in the community that are going through that.
So
sorry.
Let me back it up. No, that's fine. Just for a second, for somebody who doesn't know that Woody and Cynthia had their twins very early. I don't remember all the specs, but
about 10 weeks early.
About 10 weeks early, and then intensive care afterwards. And so maybe everybody doesn't know what your experience is, and obviously what made you so passionate about this sort of stuff, and then realizing maybe that it doesn't exist.
Well, right. And then, so, it was definitely, hard, the early birth, the NICU time, that had its own issues. And then, unfortunately, because of the nature of just really some bad luck, and you were part of that with us, is that we had to move to Alaska, shortly after getting them out of the NICU. So while they were in the NICU, I was also having to sell our home. And then just a few weeks after we got home with them, he had to go ahead and move up. They were still on heart monitors. We needed to go. I had to go stay with my parents for a little while. And then once we got them off that, we flew up. And so by 3 months, we were very much on our own, and no family nearby, no friends. I had a huge village back in San Diego. And I didn't know that, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you need to know until suddenly you need to know it. And you don't even necessarily know how to ask for it or if it exists. I ended up having postpartum depression after, or actually is triggered by weaning from breastfeeding. And I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even understand what postpartum depression was. And then there certainly wasn't access to care. Again, I didn't necessarily know that that's what I needed. And there were long-term impacts on top of the difficulties of some of the impact of our kiddos being preterm and what that does for delays and special needs and stuff.
And then that's what leads into what's happening at NoDa Brewing on Saturday. Is this Nurturing Parenthood event allows you to have some fun and learn some things about programs and doctors and specialists who are out there. Not only that, but to expand your village and meet people who are in the same situation as you while enjoying the benefits of NoDa Brewing.
So who comes to this event typically? Like, who do you expect to show up at your event?
To actually join us?
Yeah, like who are you looking to help? Who comes out?
Actually, it's a free event. So anyone in the community that, maybe trying to get pregnant, or who are pregnant, or who have had their baby, whether it's their first, second, third, doesn't matter. If you're anywhere in that spectrum, you are more than welcome to come. And we have, 45 plus individuals there to share the different resources that are in the community, all different kinds. And the kinds of things, one of the main goals is, and it's a common thing for us in the perinatal community, is realizing how many things we don't know. And so they're there not only to let you know that they are here in the community for you, but those things that they wish all parents knew, but often find out they don't. And so because the learning curve is so significant, it's really a goal to make this event a fun way to realize some of the things you didn't know were out there for you.
So there's going to be lactation specialists. There's going to be sleep specialists. There's going to be, there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff.
The things that you really don't have any idea about.
Right.
Pelvic PTs, infant development specialists.
People with lots of letters after their name, like, NAPLQTCs and things like that. So
yes. Plus, like lots of activities. So we're going to have an indoor playground, toddler, playground. We're going to have face painting. We'll have a tummy time tent. We'll have people can get 40 ultrasounds there. There's going to be a feeding and changing room, a lounge that's, kind of just to give you anyone that wants some extra privacy and just a little bit of TLC. That'll be in there.
Just a quick note, you won't be feeding and changing me, although I will be available for that.
Do I have to be pregnant to get an ultrasound? Is that primarily who you're talking to?
Yeah, but ask her. I don't know if she's open to other ideas.
What part of your body are you going to get ultrasound?
I don't know. I'm going to make a list. I don't know where. I don't know what.
She may be open. I don't know.
Okay.
But the woman behind you in line who needs an actual ultrasound of her baby may not be thrilled with your antics.
Get here earlier, lady.
I went last year and I found it to be a fantastic event, even though my kids have aged out of the 2-year mark, because my sister has had kids since then. I find myself in a community of other women. And events like this are helpful for us too. So maybe you're a grandmother or a neighbor, an aunt, and there's all kinds of things out there that you could learn to be a better support to your people.
Absolutely, and that's vital. I mean, it's important. There's nothing that's ever going to beat the recommendation of someone that you trust. So especially if we've learned some things that we wish other people knew, and just being willing to share that, and even more importantly, being willing to listen. Every situation is so unique. There's not one single birth or early childhood experience that is the same for everybody. And so, there's never can be a comparison. There's a lot of versions of hard. And we all just deserve some attention and consideration and support.
Will there be a doula there?
Oh, a lot of them.
Really?
Lots of them.
So, I mean, this is a word that I hear a lot. I kind of know a little bit, but I'd never heard of it until maybe 10 years ago. But obviously it's existed for a long time. Explain what a doula is.
Well, the concept of a doula has actually been around from way before there was obstetrics. There's a lot of birthing before obstetrics was us helping women get through the birth, because the body's meant to go through certain things, and so it was about making them comfortable and supporting them. And so that concept has moved forward, and there are plenty of traditions behind it. But doulas are educators and advocates. And depending on who you are, unfortunately, there are definitely marginalized communities that need the extra advocacy, because there are a lot of issues in traditional maternity care that overlook and make assumptions, and it can actually hurt individuals. So sometimes doulas can be, just an extra set of hands. They can provide massage. They can be, supporting to help the body be in the positions it needs to be. It's definitely education, understanding our rights, helping you think out about, if you've never given birth before, it's hard to know what's coming. We have these ideas, but if
you could picture, a doula is like a coach and a trainer and an agent and a whole lot more, to make a sports analogy, where they're covering both the physical, the mental, and then advocating on your behalf when sometimes you can't make those decisions, or you're in a position where you aren't sure exactly what's going on. You have that advice of a trusted professional who knows what's going on.
So even if you're giving birth in the hospital and you have a doula, that person comes in with you.
Unfortunately,
just sort of helps or monitors, or if you need them.
No, they're not monitored. They're not medical.
Is it like a thing that you have to get a certificate for?
You do get training, because, again, every situation's so different, and because they're educators. There's a lot of fundamental things that they learn and they practice, and they intern. They intern or are mentored with other birthing people or other doulas to be able to do what they do. And meet people where they are. It's hard to even do. I know I'm not even going to be able to do justice what that can be. But also, we have started working with them more and more, because they're actually a very significant protective factor. A doula can actually prevent mood disorders by like 25%. There's almost nothing we can do to minimize risk as well as having access to a doula. Because not only do they do some of that pre-education, they also check back after, and that's usually in your home. It's really looking at the whole environment and seeing how that you need to be supported. They will often have a lot of community resources themselves, so are able to connect people very early. So we're not waiting till the issues, is overwhelming. Ideally, they're able to help them early on, and those can have really long-term impacts.
Can they be with you in the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know if you had to go to just birthing centers.
No. I mean, unfortunately, there are still a luxury for a lot of people because they,
Cost something.
Yeah.
yeah, it costs something. I know that there are some laws that are trying to make that easier, but Medicaid is challenging. Do they pay fairly? It'll be interesting to see how that manifests, but it still will be a step forward.
But you think about the way a birth works. At least in my case, I was still signing paperwork as the baby was crowning. You're not in the right headspace for any of that. And then immediately after he was born, I get a shot of morphine to the downstairs, and then they want me to make really important decisions about things. And Dylan was a little bit underweight, so they wanted extra tests. And I'm trying to understand all of this cognitively, and I'm not in a space to really understand what's going on. And so he's getting blood drawn from his foot. And it was 24 hours later when I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it so often? How accurate are these tests? And I found out that they weren't that accurate. And at that point, I was like, you're going to have to stop doing this. And they didn't want me to leave the hospital when I wanted to leave the hospital. And so just having somebody there to be a calm voice of reason when you're not in the headspace to make any of these decisions is so vital. And I wish it were available to all women.
Yeah.
If you'd have had a horn, you would have honked it.
I would have honked my horn.
No, but unfortunately, there are a lot of interventions that are not necessarily, and some of them have risks that we're not always being made aware of. And it's very different with different OBs. And so that's again, like you were saying, it's just that level head, someone who knows what your personal goals are. Certainly in the midst of it all, they might change. The pain might be more than you anticipated, and you do want meds. But it's also just going, okay, just remember this is what you wanted. Do you want to shift that? It's just that conversation to help you think it out. It's also a support for the partner if the partner's in there, because that's a lot. If it's their first time, being in a delivery room, and like there's no reason they have any clue what's going on either. So it takes that pressure off, and just knowing that you're protected as well.
Even if it was just to tell me to turn my head at the right moment, so I could have missed a couple of things.
Well, definitely when the guy passes out, that's where they even become,
I didn't pass out, but I was
probably wanted to.
Shocked.
You probably needed a doula a couple of years later when the screensaver on your big screen TV showed the birthing photos. Maybe that doula to remind you to delete those photos from your phone.
Needs a little too much explanation, maybe, but I know what you're going for. This isn't going to make sense initially. I think of it like a notary, not because of what they do, but aren't they probably these people who are doulas have potentially another job, and they do this on the side?
No.
It's like you go to the UPS store and the dude who's there also is a doula.
No, I will say,
because he's a notary. I've seen it. Go ahead.
I would say 90% of the people that do it are in it because they've given birth and either had the benefit of it or wish they had the benefit of it. It is it's a beautiful job. You get to see some beautiful experiences, and I think it's very rewarding, but it is very taxing.
Yeah.
It's emotionally taxing, and the hours are very unpredictable, and they can be very, very long. And so the hard part is, doula work is not something you get rich off at all. But it is also hard to have another job. There are some people that are able to do it, but it's a challenge, and it's definitely one of those that I think you are either gifted. It's kind of like teacher and even sometimes nursing. It's like you have a calling and you have a temperament to be that calm presence, that servant in that space, because it's such a dramatic, life-altering experience, and we are very vulnerable. So, I mean, the stories of gratitude that you hear that doulas share from their clients, it's profound, and it can really change an experience from a traumatic one to one that can be even beautiful. So,
I like it. So Saturday, NoDa Brewing, it's where it's going down. It's a free event. It's
11 o'clock.
Yep. It's where it kicks off. There's going to be beers. There's going to be all kinds of fun stuff for kids, like-minded individuals and parents meeting and mingling. And I'll be there setting up and tearing down.
Yes. This is one day I get them to work for me.
Fantastic. All right. Well, cool. I mean,
Thanks, guys.
good chat. I feel like we actually learned something. And we got to hear a lot about Chelsea's birth. So if somebody hasn't heard that, that's fun too.
It's a full story. You know it's a full story.
I know the story.
All about the
OBGYN
story.
of the Charlotte Bobcats, first of all, says that, hey, here you've been talking about me on the radio.
I had forgotten.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. That's.
Remember, I had Dr. Zirkle with the small hands, but he was not on duty that day.
I do remember Dr. Zirkle's small hands.
I didn't remember that part.
Think about that. When they have to do the check to see how much you're dilated, you want.
Yeah.
And those are some of the interventions that are not necessary.
Okay, see,
Not
I didn't
always
even know this.
necessary.
Like, and so much changes so quickly. This is what now, 11 years ago almost.
Mhm.
You
Well,
don't
it
know
does.
what you don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, it's always been that. It's just the the awareness of our rights and trying to expand that knowledge again. And I only know a fraction of it. So it is fascinating though. Things we didn't know we actually can
I
have
wonder-
an
yeah.
opinion on.
Because like I never got an epidural or anything like that because of the birth and the heart rate, and we both had on monitors because it was a lot. It was a very challenging
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. What 1 in 3 births are considered traumatic, and that's again another place that having that advocate can really offset a lot of things. It can take away a lot of the unknown because that can be a big part of the trauma.
Just having some kind of community where you can ask questions. I know there's places online, but where you want to ask somebody like, hey, my baby won't latch on. Do I have weird nipples? Like what should I switch doctors because this doctor said this, or like I'm feeling this way, and there's so much pressure or just this ideal of what motherhood is from the internet and social media and TV. Like, is this normal, or I'm feeling this way? And people just assume that they're doing it wrong.
Yep. And that sense of failure is challenging.
Check out weirdnipples.com. I think you'll find
It's your homepage,
you'll
right?
find what you're looking for there. Right? It's not going to be easy. Maybe have a doula with you while you do that as well.
Right. I will have to regulate my breathing, I'm sure.
You may pass out. All right. Well, let's do this tomorrow. This will be fun. I don't mean the event, but I mean let's have you in and do this every day.
Cool.
All right.
And I'll bring my doula friend in, and she'll really be able to represent.
Fantastic.
We'll see how dilated Wilcox is.
I just heard that's part of my rights. I don't have to do that.
Right. Small hands or not. Wilcox asked for bigger hands.
Show me your hands. Nope. You're fired.
I don't know about
Thanks so much,
anything.
guys. Huh?
I just remember not knowing any. Like,
We're good, cool beans. You can kill it.
it's just such a.
No, it is. And it's